at www.lametropolecafe.com. Our next question is from Vito.
Yes, Bill. Vito again on the subject of collapse. Gerald Celente has said that even if we did get the U.S. dollar Federal Reserve note backed by gold, that it's too late. The U.S. economy is doomed. Then on the other hand, Catherine Austin Fitts thinks that the economy will not implode, but instead will have a controlled, slow burn, as she says, and now I ad-lib, to destruction with eventual economic surf-like conditions, if the powers that be are successful. What do you think the future is for Americans, and what do you think are the aims of those in power?
Well, for the most important is to stay in power, and for the big money to keep the big money, and to implement policies that's good for them and not what's good for the average American. And as I mentioned earlier, I think the standard of living is going to go down 35%, and that's a lot. And there's going to be people are going to be very unhappy. There will be riots to some degree, in my opinion, and it's going to get the mood in the United States of the public is going to get very depressed. That the standard of living is gone, and a lot of the people, what they dreamed, especially the older people and the people that, just going to realize that, everything they believed in and thought and they lived for in terms of work so hard for, it's not going to be. It's not the end of the world. It's just not going to be what they thought it was going to be, and that's a disappointment. So I think that's what I think is going to happen, and I think that it's going to get really ugly. And so what that means and how it plays out, I don't know, but it's not going to be pretty.
Well, if you had to commit to a camp, would you be for the implosion or for the slow burn?
Well, yeah, I see, but it's a great question. But how do you know? Because look at the flash crash, and look what could happen. We know what the plunge protection team, and I bet you none of your listeners have ever even heard of the working group in financial markets.
True.
It's a lot of big hedge funds and the big headed by Goldman Sachs, and the counterparty risk management group. Well, they're getting together to at certain times to work on the markets and to prop them up again. The plunge protection team. These things, so a lot of the markets may be artificial, so they can disappear overnight. Now, I'll give you a good example. The Madoff thing happened because of the financial crisis. People wanted their money. But if we hadn't had that financial crisis, Madoff might still be a superstar. So I guess my point is that things can come up out of nowhere in which you'll get the implosion. So I think the slow burn, as you call it, is a given. And then if you get an event like what caused the Madoff thing to blow up, then you could get just a total disaster. Just boom.
Well, do you think derivatives might be the one that takes us down eventually?
Sure.
Since
the derivatives market is, I don't know what the number of people were throwing around. I'm not a numbers guy. $250 trillion. That's something ridiculous. And the leverage that some of these people have and what they've done in exposure, which helped cause the 2008 debacle, it's all there, and it can happen again because, again, that's what God has been warning about. Gold is a barometer, and they've been controlling the barometer, making it dysfunctional. Lawrence Summers followed Robert Rubin in the Treasury Secretary, and in 1998 he co-authored a paper with a guy named Barsky at Harvard called Gibson's Paradox and the Gold Standard, in which he showed how gold and interest rates are related. So people say, well, why is the government involved in gold? Well, first of all, what up all your friends say, or you guys say, when the price of gold's going nuts? What's the headline you hear about? Too much inflation, a crisis. It's bad for the politicians. It's bad for the bankers, bad for Wall Street. So a rising gold price, they hate it because it says things aren't good. So that's why they made the gold being the barometer, they made it dysfunctional by manipulating the price instead of letting it trade freely. So again, it went from Rubin to Summers, and that's why they do it. And so when you've got things that are so out of whack, things can come out of nowhere and just collapse. And that's probably what's going to happen. Something that none of us can think of here that will hit the markets, and it will be just too stunning, and it'll overpower their ability to keep the markets in play. I write my thing at the Metropole Cafe that I talk about every day a little bit about behavioral finance. And that's what these people do. A lot of you have heard the talk about the CPI and the employment numbers and the spin they put on things, and then, of course, manipulating gold and silver in the stock market. It's all about to try to garner confidence and in the public and get them to spend and put out things that are favorable to the establishment and the party in power to make it easier for them to have things go their way. Because let's face it, what happens? Joblessness continue as it is, or unemployment stays in the tank or gets worse. The people in power get voted out. Somebody out of a job doesn't want, or somebody's afraid to lose his job, so we need someone else to fix it. So the bottom line is they try to do whatever they can to portray a better picture than things are instead of let things just be what they are. So from my standpoint, it's, again, living on planet God. It's very exciting. It's disturbing at times, but it's exciting because we get it, and we talk about it, and we act on it, and we understand what's going to happen. And a lot of this stuff's going to be talked about by the speakers at Gold Rush 2011.
Well, we can only hope the other 98% of people on planet God will wake up. Thanks, Bill.
Hey, Bill, I want to get practical here a second. In your opinion, what should the average hardworking American or global citizen do to prepare for what we see coming?
Well, it's sort of begging the question with me, as you can probably imagine, because I would say, get yourself a chunk of gold, silver, and the best buys today are a lot of these, get a combination of these gold and silver stocks in the junior exploration sector, which many of them haven't done anything in years. It's just, markets get in favor, markets get out of favor. And that, you're buying gold at $500, $600, $700 an ounce, and silver at 12. These stocks, a lot of them have just been dead in the water. So when the general public comes in, and they will, that's how far away with this, these things will go up 1,000 to 2,000%. So the average person should pay attention to probably people like you guys and Gata and what I have to say in the commentary, and at least have some exposure to this, to gold, silver, and some of the shares.
Okay, I agree with that. Let me ask you one more. Do you believe that there will be enough political will from the people to have these manipulative perpetrators prosecuted?
I don't know, because right now people it's funny. People are funny. They didn't want to hear about it. They don't want to know. They don't want to understand that they didn't know what was going on during their lives. They just don't want to hear about it. They can't believe it can be. They don't want to deal with it. They're in denial. And we know that because we would have a lot more followers if that weren't the case, or we'd have the press be able to talk about us. People just don't want to go there. I think the only way anything will ever happen is if things blow up. Then I think we might have more of a say in our understanding of why it blew up and who was responsible. Something could happen, but people got their own things they want to do. Again, it's the arty. These big moves in gold and silver, all this bonanza money made, people that own it. Incredible investment. No one ever, until a little bit more lately with the recent moves, but, how many people are involved in it? Very few.
Yeah, I agree.
So they don't care about gold and silver. When it comes to a collapse, everyone's going to be screaming and, the talk's going to be nuts. Maybe one day someone will trot out our ad again that we paid $250,000 for and say, look, this is what it was all about.
Yep, I agree. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Odinson.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
I'm really sorry about missing that last question. Something happened here. I'm not sure what it was. So my first question for you, let's suppose some time has passed. We are into future viewing here, after all. and either the whistle has been successfully blown or the market has finally overwhelmed the manipulation and gold and silver has finally begun to float. What's the next step after that?
What do you mean by the next step now? I want to make sure I try to answer this right.
Well, we're talking about the metals have floated and the market has taken back over. What do we do then? I mean, it seems to me that there's going to be lots of secondary consequences.
Party! We have a lot of money!
I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I'm a party. I like to party, and I have a good time and celebrate life. And, like, you know, I don't want to be a curmudgeon and a angry old guy. I want to be a partying old guy. And let somebody else run the next thing like we do. And, you know, I think it's just going to be, you know, because when things let go, the prices are going to be sky high. And once they've lost control, that sort of game's over. And at some point, you know, they're going to need to go find more gold and silver if they can. And I don't think the prices will collapse, but, you know, the big moves, the big money will have been made. The scandal will be out there. Who knows? Maybe we'll just go on a speaking circuit for a while. How's that?
Awesome. Adam Smith would be proud. So I got a follow-up for you here. Will the method of destruction determine the next step for America and the globe? So, in other words, the type or the method of the crash, will that determine what happens next?
You know, it could. I think America's already, their influence is going down all the time. They're talking about other reserve currencies and, you know, trading in other currencies and, you know, all of these empires that do what we do, they go down. I mean, the Romans, the British, we've overextended in terms of all our armies. We're broke. When our economy goes, I mean, we have emerging countries now and other economies picking up relative to ours is in the tank. I mean, even China, growing 8, 9, 10% a year, and the irony is the Chinese are probably more free market than we are. That is bizarre. I mean, because, you know, our markets are controlled. There's more freedom there, I think, in some ways. I mean, not in terms of what you can say and that kind of thing, but probably in terms of the way their markets run than what we got, which is just mind-blowing. But that's the way I see it. So I just think our influence is
circle of life.
Yeah, I think our influence is fading. The fact that we can't get our fiscal house in order, or no one's taking any responsibility. People are